Hi, this is Ian Starcher with Abby Normal Games. When you go through this secret door in the world's largest dungeon, you will be whisked away to a land that is both strange and familiar. Welcome to California, when it was a land of its own. Encounter the natives that summoned you here during the time that Zorro dealt justice and avenged the people of the land from tyrants. Welcome, my name is Ian Starcher and I'm the creator and co-author of Cthulhu Mythos for Pathfinder. I have created a secret door for the world's largest dungeon that whisks you away into the psychedelic dreamland filled with horrors. It's filled with the familiar, never seen before, and of course, Cthulhu Mythos nightmares. And even if you make it through the rooms in the dreamland, you'll never be the same. And again, welcome to your worst nightmares.
Well, howdy, Dungeon Delvers. Welcome to a live stream for the world's largest dungeon campaign. A little campaign update before we welcome our guest, Ian Starcher. Welcome, Ian. We're very excited that you guys have shown so much love for this campaign. We are over $870,000 on the campaign, over 2,040 backers. It's amazing. There's just about 44 hours left, a little bit more than that. So the campaign should, at least in theory, start wrapping up on Friday morning. But BackerKit's got this thing where if people keep pledging, it stays open. So we have contingency plans for this. And so yeah, real quick, folks, it is the final 2 days for the World's Largest Dungeon campaign. It's a very exciting campaign. The final top stretch goal is $1 million, and we just might be within reach. So if there's anything you guys can do to share it with your friends, let them know that you back the campaign, what you're excited about. That would really help us along there. But what I'm excited about today is we get to meet with the author of 2 of our Secret Doors encounters and a contributor to one of the most popular add-ons for the campaign, the Dungeon Furnishings. So we're going to cover all of that today. Ian, welcome, Ian Starcher from Abby Normal Media. Welcome to the show, sir.
Appreciate it.
So good. First question is an easy one for you. Is how did you get into role playing way back in the day? What was your first encounter, and kind of segue into how you got into publishing and being a creator in the space?
Sure. I hate to think way back in the day, but that's reality. I don't know where the years went, but no, I'm not that old. But like a lot of people, I started as a kid. Bought the Dungeons and Dragons set and quickly moved to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and played with the other Misfit toys in school, my friends, and we did that for a long time. We switched over and played a lot of Chaosium's games like Call of Cthulhu, RuneQuest, Stormbringer, and things like that as well. And then I had our company name is Abby Normal, and I had an Abby Normal childhood, and so it makes me sound smarter than I really am. But I went to college at 14, and then much to my mother's chagrin, actually dropped out and went and worked for Chaosium. And which is an awesome company. And that's where I got really my exposure to Cthulhu Mythos and things like that, and the publishing industry as a whole for games. And I was a young buck, and they were very kind to me and taught me a lot of things. Greg Stafford, who's passed on now, and Sandy Peterson were 2 of my kind of idols, but also mentors. And then I decided that I'd like my mother to talk to me again, so I went back to college, and then I got recruited from there into a business consultancy based in Seattle called Resource Management Center, and then I climbed the corporate ladder, as they say, to senior partner, and then leveraged that into owning a lot of technology companies, which is like what everybody does. In Seattle, you drink coffee and start tech companies. So back then, that's what I was doing. But about pushing about 10 years ago or so, I got back into the industry and haven't left since. So, I've ran companies, consulted companies, lots of that kind of thing. But I've been a co-founder owner of Abby Normal for about 7 years now. So that's
that's fantastic. So folks, we did put the address for abbynormalmedia.com in the comments, but it's on screen right now. Head there now. They have a newsletter signed up. You can sign up to follow all the great things that they are doing. And they've got a very exciting project coming out soon. So we'll get to that at the end of the stream. But do follow on their newsletter for all the good stuff. But one of the cool things that I know you do, and before we get to we'll show you off these things, but you've actually gone into 3D printing with your company too. So I think that's kind of one of the great ways you're helping out this world's largest dungeon project. Besides doing two very cool adventures, is there's some 3D printed miniatures that are pretty exciting and rather unique. We'll get into everybody some pictures of them here in a second. But I love seeing just kind of the breadth of services you guys are offering, and so you could to be commended for that. So let's talk about the two things that are in the Secret Doors volume. So if you guys are first joining us, with the world's largest, it's the 20th anniversary. We're doing a platinum edition of one of the record-breaking, Guinness World Record-setting, industry-shattering releases by AEG back in the day, the largest dungeon crawl ever. And one of the cool things about just having such a large project and being able to bring it back is it was really one of the first big projects to really expand what the OGL could be and what could be used for. I mean, it's got every single monster from the OGL in it. And I think in the 20-year sense, besides, bringing it up to the 5e current edition of the rules and, improving the maps and getting some, awesome miniatures for it, one of the best parts of this new project is that we have a Secret Doors volume, which is all new material. So it's nothing that has been published before with the world's largest dungeon or published before ever. That not only brings together aspiring amateurs. There's a whole contest going on called Portals to Adventure, where if you think you can break it or want to break into the industry, submit an entry for a secret door that takes people either in or out of the dungeon to a world of your creating or an adventure of your imagination. And there's going to be a whole voting, and then the winners will get published in the Secret Door volume. So you'll there's prize money, and two, you'll get published. And then also we have worked with folks like Ian, who are pillars in the RPG community, to connect the world's largest dungeon with some of the most storied other IPs and properties in role-playing. And because Ian cannot be contained in any one idea, he's submitting two. So let's talk about Zorro, because I think Zorro, I love that you've got like Cthulhu mythos on one and then like historical pulp on the other. I'm a big fan of historical pulp. I love it, Indiana Jones and all of that. So tell us about Zorro. Tell us what's going on in that world, and give us some hints on how you might tie it to the world's largest dungeon with your adventure.
Sure. Well, we've got actually three that we're presenting. The two that you mentioned and one we'll talk about more in a minute. The Zorro is a concept where, just like you said, you go, you jokingly refer to it, to Zorroland, and that's we're looking to get that. It's going to be exciting. I have personally read the original books, which are different than the movies. And interestingly enough, they don't actually sync with each other completely. I see that in multiple authors in the same universe sometimes, but where an author writes a book and then writes a different book and the details aren't the same. I'm like, what's that about? But he didn't write it originally with the expectation it would be so popular. Is basically what happened. So Zorro is a intended project for the secret door, which I think, by the way, I think for everybody who's listening, the secret door project and all of the things that are available in it are freaking brilliant. If you look at the list of the veteran authors in there, it's a list of who's who. I am humbled, literally, to be included in the list of some of the amazing RPG authors that are giving secret door adventures. So, it's, world's largest dungeon is amazing. It is the full meal deal. From 1 to 20. So, but with the secret doors, it adds all those things you want to put on your burger that you don't normally think of. So, you can go wild places, and that's kind of where we focus on is the wild places. The second one we're working on, when I say working on, we've written these things. So we can play test and things like that. The Zorro is still in a process, but the other one is where you go through a secret door that you enter into the realm of Cthulhu mythos. And if you're a Cthulhu mythos fan, this is you're gonna love this. And if you're not, shame on you. No, if you're not, this will give you an exposure that is unique, because most of the time in role-playing games with Cthulhu mythos, like Call of Cthulhu and some others, the protagonists or player characters basically die or go insane and die. Those are your two options. There are no heroes. There are just fodder. This is different because you've got a Dungeons and Dragons player character who is a quote hero, possibly, but yet they are encountering situations where they have to fight possibly a monster, but they also have to fight for their own sanity because the horror of anything that's in that world. So that's a big part of the experience. It's a new experience for a lot of people. Going through these supplemental secret doors, and I think that it's going to be fun.
Well, I think that's one of the great parts about our industry is that so many folks have their first experience in the RPGs in a kind of dungeon delving D&D OGL kind of experience. And then, once you get hooked by the hobby, you realize there are a whole lot of other different ways to play RPGs that have very different assumptions, very different power levels, from superheroes to pulp to investigative to just a truly bizarre, whether it's future tech or just kind of, there's an RPG where, you're going to die when if you're it's a Jenga tower is the, dread, where it's like that's the builder of suspense. And, you get to, every time you want to do something, you got to pull a Jenga block. And if you pull the Jenga block and the tower falls, your character's done for. There's just really great ways. And I think the interesting thing is, and I think the kind of the compelling reason that I think the Cthulhu mythos is so popular and has remained one of the kind of pillars in the RPG industry that's very different than high fantasy, is that idea that it is, in high fantasy, the expectation is you kind of want to keep your character and level them up as far as possible. And, some systems play with that at the beginning, like Dungeon Crawl Classics or anything with a funnel where you run through a bunch of different characters that kind of die early, but then you really kind of want to keep a character, or Traveler, where you can literally die in character creation.
Yes.
Right. But Cthulhu mythos is interesting because it really is, to maintain the notion of horror, there is that expectation of, can you do something glorious on the way out, or at least find something out or advance the cause a little bit. But there really is no, you are a mere mortal and you are dealing with, ancient elder gods, and there's, insanity or a cruel death are awaiting you at the end of pretty much all the campaigns. So I just love that. I love it.
What's unique about the secret doors that lead to the Cthulhu mythos that are part of the world's largest dungeon is it's a mashup of your classic hero high fantasy and the insanity and horror of Cthulhu mythos. So, when you're a hero, and you meet a troll, you know what to do with a troll, and you meet a dragon, you know what to do with a dragon. You kill them, like everything. But when you encounter the truly bizarre, how do you handle that? And that gives you a chance to experience your character in entirely different ways. In this game, in this particular adventure part, there's going to be opportunities to increase your stats, your ability scores, at the cost of your wisdom. And then once you're out of that area and back into the rest of the dungeon or wherever, then the dungeon master will tell you whether or not your stats go back to where they were or not. That's to be determined. So there's a lot of kind of fun things that happen as you go through the rooms. You got to collect some things. You got to survive, and you got to get out of there. So,
that's super exciting, and I love that you've actually managed to hit one of how the game kits I've been working on is how do you do something like Inception or Matrix, where you have a or even Assassin's Creed, right, where you have a core character and then they're somewhere else and they're different. Either it's different in time or different reality or real world versus digital world. And how do you do something where your stats change, right? Because it's clearly a thing that happens in those genres. So I love that you've explored something similar on how do you go from being a dungeoneering person into a Cthulhu mythos realm, and how do the stats change? And that's good. I like where you're going there. It's a good impulse to kind of connect the streams between dungeon delving fantasy and the Cthulhu mythos. And I'd be remiss not involved with the world's largest and not with Abby Normal, but on the whole same vein, the Pinnacle Entertainment, a group I work with, we're bringing out a board game called Doomguard, and it is very much in line with your idea of how do you change it up against the Cthulhu mythos. The traditional play is very much investigator, Victorian. It's kind of the main setting for it, but we're doing a superheroes and supervillains versus the mythos board game. And so I'll probably for folks who want to follow that, but it is kind of just playing with the notion of how do you keep supers fresh, how do you keep the mythos fresh, what's fun, what's kind of a fun thing to do. So in the same vein of how do you bridge the stream between a classic dungeon crawl and the mythos world. It's so it's also there. So I'll pop that link if folks want to follow that. But I just love it. I love crossing the streams. It's kind of a very fun thing to do. So folks can follow that in the chat. But let's talk about the so between Zorro and Cthulhu Mythos, which one's more?
The third one.
Okay. Let's talk about that one.
The announcement one, which is the Thieves World. So for those who are not familiar with Thieves World was an anthology series that was hugely popular. I mean, they sold over 1 million copies. So when I say it's hugely popular, I'm really using the right words. And its claim to fame, besides having some good yarns, good stories, is that it was the first multi-author shared universe series. So, which, you got some of the most amazing authors at the time giving short stories, and their characters interact with each other throughout the different stories, and it's gritty, it's kind of morally ambiguous, and it's a perfect setting for Dungeons and Dragons adventuring. So I'll we've got some more. We can talk about that later in terms of Dungeons and Dragons, Thieves World, tabletop gaming. But for the door, you enter in through the door, and you end up in Sanctuary, which is the main and a place in Sanctuary. It's just the main city in the stories, in the books, in Thieves World, and you have to make your way around, and it's what you where you end up is actually right out of the stories. So the adventure dovetails with the story. So if you've read the books or do read the books or play the adventure and then read the book, you'll go, oh, wait, I know him, that kind of thing. And so, in fact, your characters meet a main famous character throughout the multiple books, an all-powerful magician named Enos Jarl. And so you get the, but your goal is to try to figure out how to get home, to your own dimension. And so you're collecting things to, create a door to get your own dimension. Now, where you end up in that return to your own dimension might be back in the world's largest dungeon or the city you guys came from originally or somewhere else. It's kind of the dungeon master has rules for that and that kind of thing. So, and it also is a pathway for returning to that. Again, I'll talk about that a lot, but it's that setting is I would say I don't know if I'd use the word dark, but dark and gritty, and far more sword and sorcery than high fantasy. So you're definitely going to encounter magical beings, but non-magical beings and things that are a challenge. And Thieves World as a book series really was a forerunner of what's popular now when you look at the Game of Thrones or anything else which has that element of dark, gritty, moral ambiguity. The Thieves World characters in the books are mostly anti-heroes, if you want to call them something. They're doing heroic things for profit, for fun and profit, and that kind of thing, or circumstance. There are no Prince Valiants in Thieves World, so it's a great setting. And in the secret door, you go in and you encounter some new magic and some things that are unique to that setting as well.
That's fantastic, and because so the best part about all this is there's just like layers of synergy here, right? Obviously, like the Secret Doors is about bringing together kind of a community of authors to all contribute unique perspectives. The original World's Largest Dungeon was a multi-author project, and Thieves World is kind of a lot of simpatico between the World's Largest team and Thieves World. I think J.M. DeFoge did some work on the upcoming Thieves World. So let's one of the cool things I got it in the chat right now on the comments. There is a follow link. You guys are bringing Thieves World back in an all new edition. So
yes.
This is the first announcement of that campaign going live. So we just threw up a follow page there. So link is in the chat if you guys want to follow the Thieves World campaign. Obviously, you'll get a taste of Thieves World in the Secret Doors volume. But we also want to make sure you guys know that there is going to be a whole new re-release of Thieves World, updated and gorgeous and all that fun stuff. So well, give us a little hint on what's on your mind and what's planned on that big release.
Sure. The going through the secret door into the Thieves World setting, the world's largest dungeon, is like going to Baskin Robbins and getting one of the little spoons and tasting and saying, "Oh yeah, I kind of like this flavor," and you can decide whether or not you like a scoop or not. But the scoop, if you will, is you're absolutely right. Thieves World as a setting has been around forever and a day, kind of hand in hand with Dungeons and Dragons growing up. Chaosium, I think in 1981, something like crazy like that, put out a Thieves World book or box sets that you could play in a Thieves World setting, and they did something unique and very in tune with the day. They had, I think it was 11 different game systems supported in their box set. Basic D&D, advanced D&D, Tunnels and Trolls, even way out there, like Travelers. I mean, it was, you could play in the Thieves World setting through their product with about any mechanics that you wanted. And then about 2005, Green Ronin, depending on how you like to pronounce that, publishing came out with a Thieves World books for Dungeons and Dragons 3.5. And those are a lot of fun and well done. They probably would have continued with that, but Wizards of the Coast, when 4.0 came out, issued a dictate that anything that was 3 or 3.5 had to stop being published, and that was the end of the party. So that wasn't viable at that point, and they didn't just choose to convert it, and etc. So it's been lost to the RPG community till now. Abby Normal works strongly with Lynn Abbey, which Lynn Abbey and Robert Aspen are the editors of the setting that all these famous authors would submit their stories to, and they would coordinate them and stuff into the books. The original series had 12 books, and Bob or Robert, he's passed on, but Lynn's been the matriarch for several years of Thieves World, and so we've been working with her and with a guy named Paul Westermeyer, who runs the Thieves World Facebook page site group, we have, but with both Thieves World and Cthulhu, we have Catherine, who is new to the industry, but a great writer. That's been doing a lot of the co-writing with things. And then we have other people who've been contributing that you mentioned, Dim and Foggy and others that have added significant parts to the Thieves World Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition tabletop RPG. So we got some good people, I feel, that have done it. And one of the things we've done is really, really, really made sure that the feel and the details in the stories are totally accurately represented in the game. So you will feel like you're there. We have like a dozen new classes. They're brand new classes specifically for the setting. And there's cultures where the player characters can come from, and because they have features and benefits that are specific, kind of like you would with a race, but it's a culture. We have special rules for coteries, which are like social networks, where you belong to this group or affiliated with them. You can get more information or better deals and things like that, which leans heavily into role playing. So that's, which is a good thing for the kind of setting it is, because a lot of it happens in the city of Sanctuary, which is this sort of it's not lawless, but it's run down, and I would say law Spartan. It's a I call it Detroit, but that might not be nice to Detroit. But there's a lot of crime.
I think 80s cop movies take the cake for not being nice to Detroit. So you're off the hook there.
Yeah. There's in fact, there's a lot of behind the scenes. The authors of Thieves World really kind of took a emotional page from those stories, those cop stories. So there's kind of gives you a flavor of it. But we have been running it at conventions and special events, quite frankly, for years now. And there's a whole backstory to why it's taking that long to get it to print. But it's been really, really popular. People really like it. And if you crave, as a Dungeons & Dragons player, that gritty setting and that kind of alignments be damned approach, then you'll love Thieves World. So, and I think it's a great ad for the world's largest dungeon as well. So, the BackerKit crowdfunding for Thieves World is planned on the latter part of this year, and it's got a lot of support already with multiple adventures and miniatures and a lot of other things. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, it is almost the perfect RPG setting that kind of picks up on the ethos we've been talking about. It's the originals are multi-author, the RPGs are multi-author and contributory. It is a unique setting that really speaks to a niche of literature and film and kind of storytelling that certainly isn't oversaturated in in publication in RPGs. I think there's a little bit of Lankmar in there, and
there's some similarity, or that's a good definition of the term, the jargon of sword and sorcery versus high fantasy. What are the differences between those two things? And that Lankmar is sword and sorcery.
And it's really great to be able to introduce players to the multiple genres, the new ways of playing. Very simpatico. Like it's a really nice match. So promise to come back on the stream after the campaign when we've got some first things to show for Thieves World, will you? And we'll show it to you guys. So you guys can get on that campaign too. Because that's another really exciting legacy property. It's got one storied as far as the original books, and then it's the RPG history. So it really fits well. It's very much where you're doing what we're doing. So let's get to the really cool thing, because in addition to bringing back a classic like Thieves World, you guys have got set up a 3D creation, STL creation, and 3D miniature studio, and you're contributing some really awesome dungeon furnishings to this campaign. So let me get those up on screen. Let's see if we can get, boom, here we go. So let me see where our banner. There we go. So the cool thing about these dungeon furnishing miniatures is they're very unique in kind of what folks offer as far as miniatures and kind of building out dungeons. A lot of what little there is on furnishings is usually very pristine, prim and proper kind of things you might even find in doll houses. Nothing's broken and gritty and actually looks like it's in a dungeon, right? It looks like it's in a library. And these are great because, and this is why it's one of our most popular add-ons. It's a $24 add-on to the campaign, and in the add-on you get 16 of these dungeon furnishings, and they give any dungeon this ancient and aged feel, new possibilities for players and DMs. But the set includes a broken wardrobe, a broken bookcase, 2 broken beds, a rusted metal chest, shattered altar, a broken wooden chest, a cracked urn, 4 smashed chairs, a broken table, 2 stone chairs, and 1 large crystal. So let's see if we can't run through some of those and get some great pictures of them. And I've got some printouts here that you were lovely enough to send, so you can kind of compare them to our Dungeon Delvers and Monsters. But yeah, so this is the whole set. You can see on the left there's the broken wardrobe and one of the bed styles. That kind of big piece in the middle, which is let's see if you guys see it. This piece is the broken stairway. So you can kind of see how it's got the arches and your characters can kind of climb up the stairs. And that's that big piece. The crystal, one of the boxes, another one of the beds. And then on the right side, there's another stairwell that kind of goes up a little bit more. The urn. Under the stairwell, there's the cool little altar. To the right is the bookcase. And then in the front, you've got the table, chairs, and I think it's one of the broken chests. And so yeah, they're really let's go through these. We've got to see them up in detail. So this is the stone altar, and it's a nice size. You can see this is the size of a dungeon delver, and this is the size of the altar. So it is kind of something that they could be like, they could stand up and approach, and it's a size to a character, kind of a PC being able to use it, and it's very cool. It's kind of got a dwarven Art Deco angled style, where you see all the little bits and bobs, the candles and votives, and very cool sculpt on that. The one of the broken bed frames. You could just, all the detail, very nice detail. You can see on the wood, you can see the grain, and this is the bookshelf. So I'll put this up too, so you guys can see. This is the bookshelf in comparison to a delver. So you can see it's like a real bookshelf. It's much larger than a player character, and the books are appropriately sized for a kind of a player character to have a big tome. And then this is what kind of the giant looks like next to the bookshelf. So let me see if I can't get all three of these in proportion on the screen at the same time. So you can see the bookshelf is a pretty good size, and it's very nicely detailed. There's the books are all different. It's not just a copy of the same kind of tome, and like there's a little area where like one of the shelves has collapsed, and it's a very cool miniature, very nice miniature to add some unique detail. And you can see it from the back side. You can see that there's some damage, and let's see if we can focus. So yeah, really cool sculpt on that. And who doesn't need bookshelves in dungeons, right? You got a mage character, they need their magic tome stored somewhere.
Yeah, they're immediately drawn to that, like it's a giant magnet.
Well, right, and it's just like I want spells. I want what's in the bookshelf. What's there? I want to get something. The broken chairs are very cool. This is a decayed chest, a rusted out metal chest, which is really unique because unlike the kind of battle damage you see on the, I have to give, the dog is very excited about your miniatures, Ian. He's very happy to come play. This one's a metal chest. It shows kind of the different wear pattern of like rusting. So it's got these kind of organic, rusted out holes on it. And I just, super unique miniature. I don't think I've ever seen anybody else put out something that looks like this. And it's like, this is kind of what you need for a dungeon to make dungeons truly scary and old. And it's kind of the thing with the world's largest dungeon, and why it's a really good fit is the world's largest dungeon it's a millennia old prison that has fallen in disrepair for monsters and gods and just things that live on long timelines. So it makes sense to have things that are super decayed and super old, and it's really hard to kind of find that anywhere else. So these are a great way to
exactly. Every piece was sculpted and created from the ground up for the world's largest dungeon. So we would get that and capture that, because you can't find, when you find, like you said, when you find furniture for your dungeon, it's all pristine. It's like, it looks like it came out of a dollhouse or whatever. And that's not appropriate for this setting. So we really went out of our way to create some things that were truly unique and very, run down on purpose, because that's what they should look like. And it comes with 16 pieces in the set. I know a lot of people buy multiple sets because they want to have more of more chairs or more things. But it does come with multiple chairs in the set and things like that for some of the pieces. But it's you're literally not going to find it anywhere else. Mm-hmm. We own it. We created it. We haven't even put it on our website. We're not to make it available to the public until the Kickstarter, or not Kickstarter, but crowdfunding is over. So this is the only place to get it, and it works for world's largest dungeon. It works for any dungeon, really. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me that if you're in a dungeon, all the furniture is really nice. Like you got the, some sort of hyper cleaner that Has to have everything nice and neat. Normally the troll does not care. So
The world's cleanest dungeon, world's most
There you
luxurious dungeon. Well, and I think, I mean, there is kind of here's where the Crip writes this. Wait, this is just my actual room. It's like, yeah, I know you're right. You gotta vacuum up before the adventurers come to kill you. That's where we get more dungeons is more verisimilitude. But this is part of the crush chest, which is just great. And I think one of the cool things about I think the actual play revolution and the 3D printing revolution is that at one point things like Dwarven Forge and the kind of the tiles and Hearst arts, those were a very expensive, not super approachable part of the hobby to really kind of flesh out the verisimilitude of get into deep into like the role play and just kind of the magic of setting things up. And I think with the 3D printing revolution and folks like Abby Normal who come out with these great STLs or the prints, these are very accessible now. I mean, the price has come down. You don't need to invest $1,000 every time you're looking for a set that you may never get to the table. The train people, the people who did miniature trains, they kept the prices very high for kind of diorama kind of stuff. And us RPGers, we need more price friendly stuff. So for only $24, you get a 16-piece set, and that's very inexpensive per piece, right? I mean, most anywhere on the miniature kind of in a store, it's $4 or $5 minimum per one thing, like one character or one item. And there's a whole bunch. Man, I love the little urn. This would definitely be a witch's cauldron in my game, and we've got witches in this campaign too. But it's a nice big urn compared to the size of your characters. The stairs are really cool because they can work together or apart, or if you get multiple sets, you can really do some very interesting design work on the stairs. And there's two different sculpts for those, so that's just really handy too, because if you think about it, I mean, dungeons are multiple levels, and there's rarely ever an interesting way of on a game table showing how you can get from one level to another, but still, and not just be regular stairs where, unless they're trapped, there's no check on a stair, but on these kind of decrepit and worn down. And I kind of love the design you guys did where you can see the brickwork, the masonry work, but it's worn down from millennia or centuries. And kind of reminds me, there's a stairwell in Egypt that's very much the same way, where you could tell at one point it was very neatly tucked and squared corners and all that, but it looks like it almost flows now because of all the centuries of traffic on it. And so yeah, really exciting sculpts. See, we got a couple more here. There's the urn with the cool little legs on it. I would totally make those, like a clawfoot bathtub, like make them real claws, make the urn move around. Love it.
That's a piece that begs for being some sort of animation spell.
Right? It really is. And who doesn't love the black cauldron and all those? Yeah, the movable cauldron's going to eat you. Like when I said that's it. That's there. It's ready to eat you. And the wardrobe is one of the wardrobes where it's kind of, you got the rickety door on it, and I like the wardrobe because like both sides are very unique. So this side you can see in the picture there, you can see the actual door, and then here's the other side of the wardrobe from the back. And so you can get a lot of play out of what side you want to show the characters, and what you even hide a little book in the bottom of the base or whatever it is. I mean, it's a very neat miniature. I like the way it's designed. Kind of playable. I mean, if you did get multiple sets, you could put 3 or 4 of these in the room, and just depending on what angle you set them at, they look entirely different. So also pretty smart design. And so yeah, that's the preview images I pulled for the miniatures. Let me go back to the very first slide so you can see them all in their glory.
Let me talk about a little bit about the creation of these. First and foremost, Abby Normal employees are gamers, so we make stuff we would want. So we understand it's got to be cool and it's got to be affordable, because we are you and you are we, is a real thing for us. And so, when we built these, when we had our sculptor build them from ground up, we wanted them to be cool. And really what we're piggybacking on, we own a game that's been very successful for us called Return of the Tripods. It's a miniatures war game for basic World War I meets War of the Worlds, and where the Martians come back during the height of World War I, and you got tanks and guns and human grit against these towering tripods and things like that. So we have these, honestly, really high resolution printer farms for producing that. And so producing this, that's why the level of it is high in terms of the quality and the detail. When you get it, it's better than what you normally see, quite frankly, even with injected molds. So it doesn't have that 3D choppy printed where you're going to look at it and see the layers or something like that. It doesn't have that. And it's perfect for painting, and all of that kind of stuff. So it's it's really our gift back to the community in some ways, for like, what if you had really cool, broken down dungeon, badass looking stuff for adventuring in and hiding things in, and that makes you feel like you're there. I mean, that's the whole point of having terrain and furniture and miniatures, is it puts you in the adventure emotionally. And so we have they call them print farms, or we do. I grew up on an island with a farm, so it's a weird farm. We had apple trees and vegetables, not 3D printers, but it's the same principle. So we have one in Henderson, Nevada, and then a smaller one up in the state of Washington, and another one in Australia. And also in the UK. So we can cover different parts of the world and deal with the shipping and things. But one of the reasons that the pricing can be so good, especially in today's bizarre, chaotic political warfare with tariffs and things like that. These things are manufactured in the United States, so there are no tariffs. Tariff is zero. That it covers we're actually a honest to God manufacturer that's not out of China.
Yeah.
And cost effective still, and employing Americans. A lot of our staff are actually veterans. We're heavy supporters of veterans, but that's we figured out how to make it work. So not everything has to come out of China, and we think that's an advantage, because we're still more than competitive with Chinese manufactured pricing, but we control the quality, and the shipping and the support and all that is local. So we don't. Everybody that you'd ever have to talk to at Abbey Normal speaks 2 languages, English and bad English. So you'll know what they're trying to say. So yeah, I mean, and again, the world's largest dungeon is a really exciting thing. I hope people aren't missing how big it is. Now, obviously, with the number of backers and the dollars, people are realizing what a big deal it is, what a value is. I have a friend of mine that I met through gaming 20 years ago, and he's like, I showed him the world's largest dungeon thing, and he's like, this is exactly what I want to be gaming. This is totally what I want to be doing. our ability to support that has been a blast. I think it's, and the team, Tim Brown and everybody else that's been involved in this has really brought this up to a standard that, quite honestly, wasn't that same level when the World's Largest Dungeon came out originally. They've upped the ante and the quality, the details, the accuracy, everything is top notch.
Yeah, thanks for saying that, because I mean, I've been in the industry for a couple of years now, and just having some insight on, I think one of the common, I won't call it a rant, but one of the things that is, I think, frustrating as a publisher, and everybody's indie except D&D, right? There is, like Paizo is about as corporate as you get it on the indie side, and even they're not D&D, right? All of us are indie.
They're like bigger indie. They're big indie,
right?
Now.
Right? Yeah. They're indie with healthcare and like a 401k, but that's about the rest of us. It's up to you. There is the hobby itself, right? Like a lot of people threw kind of some shade at Wizards of the Coast when their CEO announced that like the game is under monetized. And it sounds awful, like you need to get more money out of people. But if you think about it, the RPG hobby as a hobby is a company that's usually almost all part-timers, second jobbers, freelancers, and the people who buy from that company are the game master. But usually there are 6 or 7 people at a table who are kind of served by the creativity, the products. But 6 of those people aren't really even customers. They don't really spend any money. They might bring chips but they're really not customers of the people who produce the game. So it's already difficult. Like you're entertaining 6 people, but one person who's also doing a lot of work for free, like the game master, has to pay to buy all the stuff too. And unlike other kind of forms of entertainment, if you look at what the books were like 20, 30, and 40 years ago, if there was anything color at all, it was probably the one piece on the cover. The interiors were all inexpensive paper, black and white, like all black and all white art. And now, I mean, over the years, there have been such a raising of the bar of not only just the creativity, but the expectations.
Yes.
If you want to compete in the modern world, it has to be glossy, thick paper, hardback books, ribbons, stitched bindings, thicker paper. And then the art, the cover pieces have to be phenomenal. And then everything inside almost always has to be, full color art. And that's, it's much more expensive versus the kind of what people think you should be paying for the core books, right? And the price of an RPG book has not changed substantially. That was actually one of the big things with World's Largest Dungeon. The industry at the time said no one will ever buy anything that's $100. No way. Books are $30, $40 maybe. No one is going to buy a RPG for $100. And AEG's like, hold my beer, let's go try it, let's do it. And that changed things on kind of the kind of the breadth of what could be done. But even then, if you look at the original World's Largest book, it was a single book, thin paper, black and white art, sparse art. It was great for the time. It was revolutionary for the time, but we couldn't just hit print again on the original book and have it be a competitive product in the market today. It's just, is the expectations are well beyond that. And, and that makes it harder too, because the other scary thing is back in the day when there were fewer independent publishers or fewer publishers, period, a lot of these same lines had more sales. I think people don't realize, even though the hobby is larger now than it ever has been, it is so fractured that some, you could sell 40,000 copies of whatever that your game was then. Same company today sells 3,000. And it's like, well, 3,000 has to pay for all the other extra stuff, all the new art, all that. So it's a tough industry, folks. It is not, it is not a place to go and get rich. And so, but even with that, it's very collaborative, right? Like most of the people in the industries are friends, or at least nice rivals with each other. we love promoting the ideas, because I think that's the thing, like you said before, and it's a thing that, like, you'll hear Shane Hensley from Pinnacle say is, we make the games we want to play.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of cynical cash grabbing in the industry, because it's like, well, no, it's a communal thing. It's not a tchotchke that can just be like impulse purchased and thrown away. It's like, either it has to give value to someone reading it, but more important, value to them running it for friends in their homes, at the stores. So no one really wants to have something where it's like, well, great, we got a great IP, and then just have it be a not fun game. I mean, I don't know anybody who's that cynical in the industry. Almost all of us we want the community. We want the experience, the stories we get to tell, the dice exploding or the dice, crit failing, the anti-heroes or heroes, whatever it's about that experience, right? So there really aren't cutting corners, right? And even the publishers who kind of still get away with black and white art, it's very much an artistic choice, a punk poster kind of thing. So it's they'll lean into an aesthetic, which is a little bit easier, but even that anymore, nothing is inexpensive, folks. So
well, I learned something. I had a short and weird job as a youth where I sold motorcycles at a dealership, and at a Honda dealership, and they had a manual, and what they said in the manual is, your competition is not Suzuki or Yamaha, it's a washer and dryer. Where the wife wants to get a new washer and dryer, and the husband wanted to get a motorcycle, was kind of how it sexistly was put, but that fit for the day. And so really, role-playing games, in my opinion, I play Shane's games. I love what they do. They're not a competition. They're just awesome. One, that's not how you look at, Yamaha when you're at Honda. But two, really our competition in the role-playing game is how people spending their time with their friends and entertaining themselves, and what kind of experience are they having. And I still believe that tabletop in particular, whether it's a war game or role-playing game, but it's really kind of the best everything for having fun with your friends and family. You get to create, you get to use your imagination. There's so many more elements of it than, say, playing a video game or riding that motorcycle. It's got its own unique benefits. I mean, I'm not knocking them. I rode a motorcycle. I played video games. So I'm not dissing them, but it's just something that's cool about getting together with people and playing a game around a table. So we need more people doing that, in my opinion, and that's kind of there's a fundamental value that I bring, but I'm not alone in that, to perception of gaming and gaming as an industry and gaming as a competition. Savage Worlds is not my competition.
Yeah, and I think that's why, I mean, one of the great things about this campaign, and if you just look at the industry, I mean, I'd call it incestuous, but it's like, no, I mean, there's so many people who have worked across multiple companies, multiple IPs. I mean, like, you're a Renaissance man yourself. Like, even just today, we've talked about World War I, aliens, and invasion, a gritty anti-hero thieves city, a Cthulhu mythos, high fantasy crossover, Zorro, historical romantic pulp. I mean, right? I mean, that's none of those are overplayed. Too many movies, too many games. I mean, and the fact that that's just what you have juggling right now, like currently, let alone kind of the what's upcoming and all that good stuff for your company. So I think that is the reason we love RPGs. That is that our little hobby, which is, it really isn't an industry. It's at best it's a hobby industry. It's not really an industry. But I don't think we ever look at anybody as customers, either your friends, your fellow players, your fellow designers. It's it's not a move a widget kind of industry. It really is we do it because we like it and we'd like to do it with you. So here's a game, here's a book, here's some art, here's a miniature, here's a story, here's a platform we can play on in person or over the internet. It really is all, and it's great for that. So anyways, we have hit our hour. So folks, be sure to check out abbynormedia.com. Go follow the link for the Thieves World campaign. You'll hear more from us at the World's Largest about that. We'll give you updates as that goes on. But if you're watching this, you're the first ones to be able to get access to that follow page. I'm really looking forward to Thieves World, so hopefully you guys are too. But as long as you are on the World's Largest campaign page, and I've noticed the numbers have ticked up while we've been sitting here, so it's working. Pick up the Dungeon Furnishing miniatures. It is only $24, less than $2 a mini, for some very unique, versatile, really not available elsewhere, designed for the World's Largest Dungeon miniatures, wardrobes, bookcase, beds, chests, altars, stairs, urns. It's great. It's got it all, and a crystal. Didn't even talk about the crystal. It's only $24 for that set, and you'll be supporting a U.S. creator who's creating in the U.S. who doesn't have to worry about tariffs. And one hell of a misclick. This is, if you go to the World's Largest RPGs YouTube, which let me see if I can. Let's get a short link for you. Here it's at World's Largest RPGs on YouTube, and that's our YouTube handle. The long ugly one is this on YouTube. But yes, the VOD should be available there as soon as we wrap up in a minute or two. If you go to the live section, it'll show under there. And also under live on that channel, you can check out some of the other things we've done before. We've got, in addition to this interview, there is an interview where JM and talks all about the kind of Secret Doors special with Tim Brown. And then we've got a miniature painting contest. The results for that will be on Friday. So if you are a backer on the campaign, check out our most recent poll. There are 4 awesome miniatures. They are all variants of the our Frost Giant. And great job by our painters who are our finalists. Any one of them could work professionally doing commissions. So. And I think it's, as of now, I generally try not to look at the votes to steer anybody, but I'm pretty sure the votes were within 5 of each other between them. So wow. You can still get in there and show who you support. I'm not gonna tell you who's in the lead, but yes, they are very close in the voting. So that will come down right to the wire. There's also our big launch stream. We've got another stream with the miniature monster sculptor and then the painter who painted our miniatures for the campaign. So you can check out those on the past lives as well. And then tune in this Friday, starting just before the campaign closes on Friday. I think noon Eastern is the titular close of the campaign on Friday. That will be extended at least a little bit because as people are still backing, it keeps it rolling. So we will start streaming before then, and we'll go as long as we can. So that would be we'll definitely see you guys back on Friday. But let your friends know there's less than 48 hours left on the campaign. Share it to your socials, let your friends know. If there's any way that you guys can up your pledges, like adding on some Dungeon Furnishing minis, they're only $24 during the campaign. The other cool thing is if your pledge is over $125, I think, which is the main pledge levels are over that. It comes with 4 easy installed payments through BackerKit.
Yeah, that's an amazing thing to have on a crowdfunder. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. We love that's a feature that we were able to turn on for folks because it is a pricey campaign. So so if you're just joining us again, the less than 2 days left, World's Largest Dungeon redo. It is a Guinness Book of World Records setting. Completely remastered, entirely new first level, new art, new layout, improved editing throughout, multiple passes, for both spelling and grammar and language usage, but also for balance and game design and the crunch side of it. Some great authors from around the industry like Ian and others have joined us to do a Secret Doors book, which is going to be filled with both industry professionals and the winners of our amateur contest, which is very exciting. So there is a chance, if you are a nascent game designer, portals-2-adventure.com is where you can find out more about that, or come on the campaign page. There's information. And yeah, we are over. Oh, one last thing. Over 800. Oh my God, it's so like 42 hours left. 871, almost 872,000. 2,045 backers. Thank you all for being so generous with a very expensive campaign. But it's a whole lot, right? It is 1,600 encounters. That is, that is a year's worth of play. 4 volumes. The 5th volume is that awesome Secret Doors book, and then a whole volume of maps. So it's a lot. It's a lot of dungeon. Every monster in the SRD is in there. Almost always spruced up and a little different and spicy. And thanks to some of our partners like Ian and Abby Nora Media, great designers. You're going to get a look at their upcoming products, and you can even take home some of their awesome miniatures. Like, who doesn't need a destroyed bookcase? Because that's awesome. You need one in your life. It's only $24 for a whole big set of multiple stairs, multiple chests, beds, chairs, altars, urns. It's good. It's good stuff. So add that on before you can help us reach that $1 million stretch goal, which is, I think, a whole nother book being done with the VTT. We're doing the first book, and I think that'll be book 2 if we hit the 1 million. So we'd love to hit the 1 million. If we don't, I'm not going to cry about it, but you guys have already been amazing. It's hard to cry about $870,000. So we appreciate you, folks.
It's a good
any last thoughts?
I know, a lot of you don't know me. I'm kind of in the background, and I like it there. But I have met over the years a lot of people professionally that have become friends, and they're good people. That's why they became friends. You mentioned Shane. I was sitting at the same table with Shane and others from the industry at Tim Brown's wedding. We are insular. We are inbred practically. We're like from West Virginia. So, and it's just because like-minded people with the same value system attract each other. And, I know, Tim, if you look at Tim's resume, it is amazing. Is it creative director at TSR and things like that. These are people who care about producing A+ products. And that's why we, frankly, got involved, because we knew it was going to be quality. It's not hype. We had to make the same decision everybody else did. We just had to do it on a professional level. We don't want to have anything to do with this. And it's good stuff. So
no, it really is. Appreciate that. Appreciate all that you've done with the hobby. Exploring the parts that I love playing everything. High fantasy is great, but my true love in the hobby is all the other things. Whether it's weird westerns or Victorian horror, or I love pulp. Pulp's the greatest. So I'm super excited that you guys are continuing to create in that space. And one last question. Josh says, "Hey, it's a shame it won't be fulfilled till next year." I agree with your partner, but this is legit on these stretch goals. These are things the community opened up. So those have to be produced. And the good thing is, it's not digital fulfillment should proceed very quickly after the close of the campaign. So when the campaign closes Friday, Saturday, whenever it ends up closing, hard to tell with the backer train and the campaign is big. Like, have we reached all our followers and they've already pledged, or are we going to get a big rush at the end? You never know. When the campaign closes, about a month later, BackerKit finalizes who your pledgers are. Like, they give you time for, they run the credit cards after like a week or two, and then they give, for folks, if there's an error there, they give you time to fix it. And after all that's been said and done, like a month later, they're like, here are your backers. These are the people who, funds have been collected, pledge levels have been set. And so once we get that, we can then begin to start releasing the digital versions of the books, and we are going to do a several week audience backer. What do you call it? A beta test period, alpha test period, where you get to see the PDFs. If you find any errors, anything we need to correct, we will incorporate those into our final editing pass before these go into production. So there will be a community feedback page, but you'll be able to get, I think we're going to do it in stages because it's huge. It's like 1,600 pages. Yeah. So physical fulfillment will come with creating all the extras. A lot of cool stuff you guys unlocked, and I mean there's just a whole lot. There's a bunch of dice. There's the whole cool little mimic dice box. There's the so it's a lot, right? And we also need to give our publishing and manufacturing partners kind of the same grace that we have on crazy things happen, supplies come in and out of stock. So I've done 30, 35, almost 40 campaigns, and some go better than others, but there's never been one that there hasn't been a surprise late in the game. Like, oh, this plastic is now out of stock. You need to wait 6 months or find an alternative. Or, oh, you wanted 500, we only printed 50. Or you wanted 500, we print 5,000. And so, it's always an adventure. It is definitely a hobby industry. We'd love to give it to you sooner, but that would have meant that we probably would have had to have decided the final form way before now. And so because of your help and because this really is taken off, I mean, I think our initial goal was like $8,888. And now we're at $872,000. So 10,000 times funded, like whatever it is.
Yeah, I can't even do the math on that.
That's the largeness is its own problem too, right? We are prepared to fail. We are also prepared to succeed, but we definitely have taken steps to not be the $1 million campaign that doesn't fulfill. So giving ourselves the time to get there is kind of why we've done that. So I appreciate your enthusiasm, Josh. We would love to give it to you as fast as possible, but we will get you digital stuff. So Jared's got it. Digital was going to be available for backers. So that's correct. So we will give you as much as we can, as fast as you can. But one of the other things too is kind of saving on shipping to make sure that we only do one big shipping round, so we can give you Kickstarter, crowdfunding, BackerKit exclusive shipping, which is important. Important to keep those costs down, especially for our European and Australian customers it's just expensive period to ship anywhere. So
it's crazy.
We've got a great team. Most of my campaigns have been with Pinnacle, and we are using one of the same fulfillment houses. We use Studio 2 Publishing. They're one of the big partners in this campaign behind the World's Largest Dungeon team. And our main manufacturer is also, they've never let us down. We've fulfilled every campaign from them. So I know it's a new venture, but everybody's a gray hair or no hair like me. So we are seasoned professionals. And
just to interrupt you, it is new, but it's really like an all-star team. Like, every year, they're depending on the sport, they'll grab the best of the best from all sorts of teams, and they'll create an all-star team, right? This really is an all-star team. When you got people like JM and Tim Brown, and the others that go on. These are the greats. These aren't the goods. These are the greats. And they're all involved, and there's a synergy that comes with that. And again, I've known all these people professionally before I knew them personally. And they are human beings that are good at being human beings. And that translates into their professional lives, that they just do things right. And so, this is, yes, it's a new venture, but it's not a new venture with people who are going out camping for the first time.
That's true.
By any stretch.
Well, appreciate the vote of confidence, sir. It was great talking to you. And the folks, once again, Abby Normal Media, Thieves World, really excited about that project coming out, but you can get their existing catalog right now. Some really cool stuff in there. And Ian, we'll have you on again. We'll talk about these when you get some more to show for us. But until then, folks, tune in Friday. We're going to do the big end of campaign live stream, and it might go long. Might be really long. You never know. We appreciate you guys. I mean, over 2,000 of you have already backed, and I mean that says a lot when our most popular pledge is a $1,500 pledge, like $1,499. There's only 14 of those remaining right now. That's so chock full of stuff. I mean, it will never be retailed. I mean, that's I think almost $800 savings versus what any of that's going to be retail. So even as expensive as that is, I mean, that's the other big scary thing too, right? It's like it's easier to sell a $40 book or a $50 book, but a $1,500 pledge level. But you folks have shown up for it. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate all the love you've given for the campaign. And
that's
we will.
For the dungeon furniture is discounted on this Kickstarter. It costs less than it will be in the future when it does get released to the general public in the distance.
Yeah, and $24 is a steal. I think miniatures. I saw the miniatures that used to be 3, then they were 5, and then they were 7 for just one little dude. So getting 16. And that's the other thing too, is like, this is chunky. This is not, there's more resin in here than just a single miniature. It's but very cool. So guys, give the Dungeon Furnishings a look. Enjoy the Zorro adventure and the Thieves World adventure and the Cthulhu Mythos adventure that comes out in the Secret Doors book. And when Thieves World campaign comes, and I know Hannibal, I know we're almost done, sir. I know. So anything that you guys can do, last call, tell your friends you backed, share it on your socials, email your game master and say, hey man, I'll pitch in $100 if you want to buy this. Even just the digital, everything helps. We would love to be able to unlock the remaining stretch goals. There's some really cool stretch goals left. The last one's at $1 million though. So let me see. I was gonna what are the remaining stretch goals? Because I know we were giving some upgraded covers. I think we unlocked the UV varnish on all the covers already, which is just amazing. So folks, help us unlock free digital map pack with 16 encounter maps for the bosses. Encounter maps have never been produced for this before. All the maps in the original are tactical maps, big picture maps. All new 16 boss miniature maps at 900,000. So we're halfway there from 800,000. At 950, it's a free level 20 adventure PDF for all backers. We've already unlocked the free level 1 origin adventure. So help us make a capstone, one at the beginning, one at the end. And then at the $1 million, if we make it, we would love to make it book 2 Foundry module. That would be, those are very expensive to produce, especially for something as big as this. So help us get there so you can play this on BTT too. Other than that, appreciate you guys joining us. You all stayed for the whole time, which is amazing. But Ian, Mr. Ian Starcher, thank you for being the Renaissance man you are in the industry. And we'll see the rest of you guys on Friday for the end of the campaign. Cheers, folks.
Cheers.